Hey guys, my name is Miska and welcome to Overwatch Central, and this video discussing Ashe and how she's performing now after launch. She's been out for about a week or so, and we have quite a lot of stats actually to work with here, and a lot of very interesting stats as well that really show the potential of this new character and how Ashe is really doing, because a lot of people aren't quite sure where she's at right now and how she's actually performing. Some people seem to think she's a bit low damage sometimes, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but there's a lot of that I want to go through and kind of bust those types of myths, I guess, in this video and give you the real info. So let's get started with just the general pick rate and stuff. So Ashe in general, if you have a look at Overwatch, for example, on this week, you can see that Ashe is actually doing pretty well. She's quite up here, but the pick rate's actually higher than what is displayed here, because this grabs an average of the past week or so. On the first day it just says 0.9 and 4.4, so it's kind of low, but in general she's up at around 6% pick rate pretty solidly the past sort of 4 days or so, which is really good. And on top of that has kept a win rate of roughly 52%, which is incredible for a hero that is brand new, played this much, and that she still does this well. Very good. And I believe this might even be outdoing Moira when she was added about a year ago, as about a year ago I actually made another video called Moira the best hero at launch or something like that. And yeah, the best new hero at launch seems to be Ashe, as Ashe has kind of outdone Moira in that way, as right as she's added, she's just done more and had a bigger impact on the game, it seems, looking at it from a stats perspective at least. So let's move on to talk about the sort of different tiers and then the actual damage stats and such. So if you go through the different tiers, and instead of looking at across all of the different skill tiers, you just take a look at, say, Diamond, for example. So Diamond this week on PC doing really well. You can see Ashe sitting at about 55% pick rate here, which is just incredible. Very good, very high. And the higher up you go, if you go into Grandmaster as well, you can see that she's got an even higher win rate some of the days here. And this is going to fluctuate a lot more because Grandmaster is a much smaller sort of pool of heroes. Oh, sorry, heroes, players, of course, heroes, I guess you could say as well, but yeah, and she's picked a decent amount, but still doing pretty well up here overall. So yeah, really interesting that Ashe is doing as well as she actually is. So let's take a look at why exactly and go into some abilities and stats that really show where Ashe shines. So these are all from Omnic Meta. This is a great article put together. I'm going to give you some of the stats in here, the ones that I really wanted to highlight, but there's even more in the description below on the link, so check that out. Anyway, Omnic Meta, great stats. Let's have a look at the first part, which is damage done, because this is obviously a very interesting one. And damage done, as you can see, Ashe is doing really well. She's outdoing Doomfist, Genji, pretty much, or at least nearly on par with Hanzo. There, Hanzo having a little bit of a steeper curve as well. And in general, keeping up with heroes like McCree and Widowmaker. So very good. And with the way that Ashe can work in a lot of different ways with sort of AoE, a lot of burst, yet can also provide a decent amount of pressure, is very good. It just means that it's a versatile hero that's actually performing well. And having this straight from launch is just fantastic. Moving on from that though, I do actually want to mention the deaths comparison, skipping a little bit ahead here, and deaths comparison is an interesting one as well. And I mentioned in my Improving at Ashe video that the movement ability would work well as an escape and saving people that were kind of learning the hero to do better. And I really think that you can see here that that is actually what's happening, as Ashe's deaths per 10 minutes is quite a lot lower, or at least notably lower compared to all the other DPS heroes here. So that a movement ability is really paying off as kind of an escape, and that works really well when you're learning the character too. So good to see that that's actually working as intended. I don't feel like the coach gun is OP, but I feel like it is an extremely strong tool to have available. So yeah, really cool to see that that is actually having some impact there. Moving on though, the main interesting one in my opinion, or at least one of the main interesting stats in my opinion, Ashe ability stats from Omnic Meta. We have Bob kills and Dynamite kills, as you can see here, and this is stats per 10 minutes, as you can see on the side as well. But Bob kills in general stay fairly similar, with a small bump there in Grandmasters, meaning that the ult is performing pretty similarly in most tiers, and I think that's, I guess, a good thing. It was kind of expected with an ultimate that is essentially a bit kind of a turret almost. You know, Bob is not really the most intricate and complex ultimate around, but Dynamite kills is actually really interesting. And I think Dynamite kills and just the Dynamite in general is a very good way to show how good Ashe is, and it kind of really you know, highlights what abilities are doing well here for Ashe and what exactly they are doing. Dynamite kills though, looking pretty good. That somewhat steep-ish curve really shows that in Grandmaster some people can get a little bit more out of the ability, yet it performs fairly alright in most of the other tiers as well. So yeah, very good to see for sure. Moving on to that, of course, the final stuff, which has to do with the usage comparison and win rate comparison within the DPS role. So let's have a look at that. And Ashe here is doing very well usage-wise. That's not really to any surprise that she's a little bit higher than some of the other characters, but that she's this high is kind of surprising. So when a new hero is added in general, people tend to try it out pretty quickly, especially if the character, you know, it seems to be a very fun, interesting character that can do quite a lot of different things and is quite versatile and can work quite well for themselves. But Ashe has really outdone all the other heroes. If you compare this to Moira's usage comparison in the support slot, obviously there's some more supports in here as well and stuff, but either way, you can see that she's actually doing very well, Ashe. She's doing great at launch, and compared to Doomfist, Genji, Hanzo, Junkrat, and McCree here, her usage is very, very high. So good to see that she's fitting this well into the game. I'm not sure if it's too well or not. We can have a look at that through this win rate comparison here, which you're not really supposed to see too much of a difference, and I think that's good, but you can still see a little bit of a difference here. She's outdoing McCree for sure here. You can see that Grandmaster, you have about a 5 to maybe 7% higher win rate there in Grandmasters with Ashe compared to McCree. And there's a lot of these other stats that are really interesting to look at. You can have a look at Omnic Meta in the description if you want more stats and just more info on all of this, but I thought this was really interesting to have a look at, and Ashe seems to be the best new hero that has been added to Overwatch in terms of how they perform at launch. So yeah, really interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more Overwatch content, of course. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.